Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Drawing with Mike. I am pretty much done for the duration of Thanksgiving with my professional work, but what I wanted to do today, going back a little traditional, we're working on some Bristol board with my Kohinoor Progresso Carmine Red pencil. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm just going to draw a few owls just for fun. I've been doing so much work lately that I haven't had a lot of time to sit down and breathe per se. And it's always important to, make sure that, me as an artist has that me time. I needed some me time. And that's what this is today. So I'm just going to draw some owls. For those of you guys who frequent the channel, you guys know that I love drawing owls. I just love their shapes. I love their simple shapes. I love the way they, I like drawing birds in general, but owls, I just have a real affinity for them in general. I had somebody a while back ask me for like a 5-minute art tip. I don't know. I'm not really that 5-minute art tip kind of guy. But that being said, I'm always looking to better myself and do things in a way that, brings forth a little bit of understanding for those who don't want to sit there and listen to an hour-long video. So one of the things you can do, and this is part of I'm probably just going to draw for about 10 minutes today. One of the things that you should do every day, obviously, is to draw. I know that's kind of a blanket statement, right? Because I've said it so many times before, it's very important that if you want to be, in the art field, professionally, that you always basically are learning something. It's important that we also recognize that it takes a lot of practice to do what we do. So, little 5-second art quip for you guys is to draw something small, if you can. Now, I get it. I've been in that moment recently where I haven't been able to draw every single day traditionally, but I do draw every day. Sometimes it's not as easy as I would like, just because, gosh, with life and everything else, it's been a challenge lately. To draw every day. So that's my little 5-second art tip here. Draw something every day. Another thing that I see students doing is investing in things that don't really have a return, right? I'm not talking about your portfolio in terms of money. I'm talking about time. I recently had the opportunity to sit down with a student, and they were working at kind of a one of those jobs that you get whenever you're a teenager. And some of their studies were fallen by the wayside. And I kind of got real with them, and I said, that person who pays your salary, not salary, but pays your wage, is only interested in one thing, and that's you continue to work at the pace and at the stage that you're at. They don't care about your schooling. They don't care that you want to better yourself. Most of the time, they're looking for their bottom line. I said, look, I understand that you have to, do certain things, but the reality is your school is the most important thing right now. And it was hard, right? It was hard for them to hear that. You know, not all of us have the opportunities that others have. Not all of us have enormous amounts of talent. We have to make up with it with work, hard work, right? You know, I was one of those people and still am. I still have to work really hard to keep what I do relevant. So make sure you have the right perspective, guys. That's another tip. So that's 2 tips. Drawing characters. Why? How? What do you do? I look at things in terms of simple shapes most of the time, right? I need to get into some more digital detailed illustration for you guys, because most of the time whenever I do stuff like this, it's very simple, right? And you guys aren't really getting a gauge of, you know, capability. You're seeing some stuff here and there, but most of the time it's just sketching. You know, I don't really go into massive final stages because I just like to draw. Drawing this stage right here is my favorite stage because it's rough, right? You know, I've done finished pieces. You know, I've done rendered pieces. I've done all of that. And I'm not saying I'm over that, which I'm not. What I am saying, though, is this is one of my favorite stages. This is what I enjoy the most. Drawing and feeling the paper, feeling the pencil on the paper. Really enjoying, you know, that tactile feel of the of the paper, right? And that's one of my faves. So, of course, Thanksgiving. I talked a little bit about Thanksgiving the other night because I had an obligation and it required me to teach. So I decided to teach a little bit on what Thanksgiving was and in the context of what I was teaching about and how it was relevant. And of course, you know, the different cultures, I didn't realize this, but different cultures do celebrate Thanksgiving. And I thought it was an American only holiday. And I was completely wrong. You know, in Japan, they celebrate it. Some of the islands, they celebrate it. In Canada, they celebrate it. Of course, they celebrate their Thanksgiving in October because, you know, it's Canada. And, you know, that's one of the things that was really an eye-opener for me, of course. But one of the things, because I teach kids, one of the things that I had to really tell them was, you know, in today's day and age, we're being bombarded with so much negativity, right? That occasionally it's hard for us to realize that we do have a lot to give thanks for. I'm always constantly giving thanks for even the simplest of things, right? You know, it's kind of weird. I'll give thanks for walking, you know, breathing, having a nice phone, and I know that seems dumb, but it's not, you know, having a nice phone, being able to see, being able to have glasses whenever my eyesight has gotten worse. You know, these things, I think, are some of the most important things that we kind of take for granted, and I don't ever want to do that. I don't ever want to take for granted, you know, the things of my life. You know, having a car, that's pretty cool, right? Some people don't have the ability to have cars, and having a nice car at that. Having air conditioning in my car. You know, I just want to be a good steward of what I have on this planet, you know, and having a YouTube channel, have followers, you know, having the ability to do this. I mean, this is pretty cool. So I think that's pretty much all I wanted to show you guys today and talk about, you know, Thanksgiving and giving thanks. You know, I know that a lot of times we as people tend to be cynical on some stuff. But the reality is we are very, you know, fortunate. You know, if you live in the United States, very fortunate to have the abundance that we have. And of course, if you're watching from other countries, that is not to shame in any way, shape, or form your situation. The only thing I've ever known is here in the United States. Of course, I have a lot of historical knowledge about other places, but I've never been to other places. I haven't experienced their governments. I don't know what that is, right? So just give thanks for what you have, where you're at, what you're doing. If you celebrate Thanksgiving in that context, I definitely think it's something that you should do. You know, give thanks if you have a mother and a father. You know, I lost my mom a few years ago. Actually, 7 years ago this year. She left us. And every single time I think of my mom, you know, I'm like, you know, I wish I could say hey. Right? I wish I could say hey to my mom. So, owls. Very simple shapes, guys. That's all this is. I'm you know, not drawing anything major, just getting into a little character art today, because today, of course, is the day before Thanksgiving. Right? The day before Thanksgiving. A while back, I developed a character. His name is Mr. Hootsburg. Mr. Hootsburg has glasses, but they're little teeny glasses, like that. And he talks. He talks like John F. Kennedy. So every time I do an owl like this, I can hear Hootsburg. I say my name is Mr. Hootsburg. And he talks, he's like, you know, he's got that Boston Hootsburg, Rhode Island, right? So give a little bit of shadow on the bottom here. Give a little bit of value. And if you notice, whenever I draw, I'm not real tight. And then I come back and I put just indications of, you know, a little bit more tightness to kind of push and pull these forms out, right? Hooch bag. He's got his little beard that comes here. We're going to get a little bit darker here. I'm going to go over on the edge. We're going to render this in slightly, a little bit more value. You know, and from here, what I would do if I was going to render these, I would go ahead and take a picture of them or scan them. I would drag them into a digital environment, and then I would go back and I would refine my line, go ahead and, you know, put on a layer transparency and just start refining these lines, these forms, the things that define this image, right? And since I'm not doing a quote-unquote illustrative composition, I'm focusing primarily on the character. The backgrounds would be very simple. I wouldn't go in and, you know, I wouldn't have a bunch of trees in the background or anything. Just simple stuff. So anyway, I think that's all I wanted to do for you guys today, just to kind of get a video out to you guys to show you that, you know, even on busy days, where are we at? You can still spend 10 minutes. That's pretty much all we did. Actually, we did 13. 13 minutes to get some of these simple shapes. And two, you know, after I get it down, so I've got these sketches down, now I'm starting to feel them, right? I'm feeling this rounded edge. I'm feeling how the feathers kind of come here, and you see a little bit of fluff here, and you see a little bit, you know, maybe come here, and the top of his head, right? Maybe he's got some feathers that come up. He's got some feathers that comes here, and how this comes, you know, it's rounded. Everything is rounded. I can feel, you know, how these forms are, because I'm not drawing, you guys. I'm not drawing. I mean, I'm drawing, but I'm not drawing per se on a flat piece of paper. I can feel, and I told this to somebody recently. I said, my hands, I can literally feel the roundness of this. I can put my hand, and I can close my eyes and I can feel my hand move across that form, because it goes up and then it goes this way, right? And there's a plane here, and there's a plane here, and then when you get here, it dips and it curves inward, because it goes like this. And then whenever, like this area right here is further away than this area, so whenever it goes into the skull, because their owl eyes are huge. I mean, the eye is like that big if you ever see a owl skull. And it goes back, and you have this little brow line that comes around here, right? It's thinking three-dimensionally. And whenever, you know, that image or the form comes to this edge over here, and then it goes, this eye socket goes inward like this, and then it curves out like this, and out like this, and it radiates outwards. So we're going to color that in, right? And I can feel it, guys. It's the weirdest thing to explain to somebody that doesn't have the ability to feel that drawing, right? It's a weird thing that I think it takes a lot of practice. And I can remember whenever I was a young artist, I could still feel the drawing, and I had so much frustration because I tried to get in there and draw, and nobody would explain to me how, you know, to facilitate my brain to match what my hands wanted to do. Am I there yet? No. Am I getting better every time I draw? A little bit. So, thinking three-dimensionally, feeling your drawing, guys. Feel it. If you have to stop for a minute and say, that owl has that nice round, it's got a round feeling to it, right? And you've got all of these lattice lines in my brain that I can see, and a lot of times instead of drawing the lattice lines, what I'll do is I'll utilize the direction like of the feathers. So right here they're kind of going outward, right, following that lattice line, and as they curve under, they're going to curve as well, right? And all of these, how you have that nice round surface right here, they're going to be smaller off in the distance, and as they get bigger, they're going to curve. See, each one gets curved down. That's basically what you're doing, is once you get your simple shape in, right? And two, what just happened is I've got him curved this way, everything's coming this way, and then just so I get a different feeling, he's looking the other direction. So that creates a dynamic feel. Again, see, we got to come out here because I just noticed something I didn't like. See, I put this here, again, I have the, that plant that goes that direction, and then you have that completely different curve. What that does is it creates rhythm and flow. It's the rhythm and flow that helps the characters, you know, move whenever they're not moving. See, even though he's not moving, there's life to him. So, as I get a little existential on you guys, I apologize. It is, after all, Thanksgiving. So, thank you guys for watching the channel. Like and subscribe if you like what you see. As always, go out and give a little beauty to the world. You know, there's so much. Gosh, I watched the news the other day, and the things that are happening in the news. First of all, it's very hard to trust what you see, because everybody and all the news media outlets trying to get people to come to their you know, their website and whatnot. Whether or not it's fake news, I don't know. The reality is that's the problem. Even having a question of whether fake news exists, which in some capacity I know it exists, you know, just because I've educated myself on the way that, you know, social media works and the way that news organizations work. But the reality is there's so much crap in the world, man. But you know what? There's also some goodness. Don't throw all the crap. You know, don't throw everything out with the crap. Make sure that you know that there's some goodness going on. You know? So that's all I wanted to show you guys today. Thanks for visiting, and we'll see you soon. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Bye.